Hello, my name is Andres Estrada, and it is an honor to serve as chairman of the LCC. Before we continue with our program, I welcome you to join me in saying the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. I'd again like to thank you for taking time to join us today for our monthly virtual luncheon. The LCC staff and presidents of the LCC, Peter Guzman, work diligently to organize special events like today's luncheon, as well as working to provide resources and value for our members and corporate partners. And for that, I thank you. I would also like to take a moment to encourage everyone to vote in the upcoming elections. No matter what side of the aisle you are on, it is important to make your voice heard. Your vote matters. The LCC is committed to working with our local and state partners to continue to bring you relevant information and resources to help your business navigate these trying times. Follow us on our social media channels for more information on upcoming virtual events, as well as important news and updates as related to the business community of Southern Nevada. The LCC is here working for your success. And now we continue with the LCC monthly virtual luncheon.
The future of energy is at a tipping point. True sustainability requires us to achieve a balance between environment, economy, and social equality through access to safe, smart, and sustainable energy. The oil and gas industry has long invested in technological innovations to help drive sustainability. And we embrace the promise of a diverse energy mix, complete with renewable and alternative forms of energy. But now, it's time to embrace social innovations that move us forward. It's time for all of us to work together, inclusively and collaboratively, because the biggest challenge we face is our own mindset. It's time to let go of the unhelpful myth that business and the environment have to be natural-born enemies. They don't. It's time to remember that even if we don't share the same politics, we all share the same future. And it's time to remember that we have a choice. We can either allow our shared future to unfold accidentally as the result of divisive rhetoric, or we can work together to align the interests of our people, our planet, and our shared prosperity. This is what a truly sustainable energy future requires. Because the question is not if oil and gas will play a role in that future, but what role we will play. We look forward to discovering our shared future together.
Wow, Andres, that was an amazing intro as always. Plenty of energy. Just so grateful. Today we have another incredible LCC virtual luncheon with folks that are really in the trenches, in the middle of all the things that are going on that are real important. So Andres, thank you for all that you do as chairman of the Latin Chamber of Commerce. I just can't tell you what a pleasure it is to work alongside with you. And as a volunteer, you're one of the hardest volunteers I've ever met. So thank you for all you do. So folks, thank you. Thank you for being here. Like I said, to the Latin Chamber of Commerce virtual luncheon. Today, we're going to talk about balanced energy. It's a subject that you're already hearing something about, and you're going to hear more about. And so I think it's important that the Latin Chamber of Commerce bring you directly from the people that are in the know, that are in the trenches with this thing, so that you really hear all sides, all aspects, and get it directly from them. So, man, today I'm just so proud to have Jose from Southwest Gas. I'm going to introduce yourself to our guests.
Hi, Peter. Again, thanks again for allowing us the opportunity. Jose Esparza with Southwest Gas Corporation. I worked here for 24 years now. Actually started off reading meters for the company. My father works for the company. He's been here, I think, 35 years now. So he trains all of our service techs. So this company runs through our blood. And the beautiful thing about this company is there's a bunch of stories like that. And so it's really, I take a lot of pride in getting the opportunity to do what I do and to get to speak to folks like yourself.
Well, thank you. And we're gonna get into some more conversations here in a moment. We have our friend Kat from WSPA. For those of you who don't know what that is, it's a big deal, and she's a big deal. I'm going to let her introduce herself. Kat, go right ahead.
Thank you, Peter, and thanks, Jose. Nice to join you on this as well. So Kathy Rice-Boyd, or Kath, is fine with me as well, but I represent the Western States Petroleum Association, and we represent the oil and gas industry in 5 states, Nevada, of course, being one of our wonderful states, but also Arizona, California, Oregon, and Washington. And I've been with WSPA, this is my 30th year. Wow. And 8 years in the industry prior to that. So I'm getting up there at 38 years. So I probably hopefully have a few things to share of interest with you as we talk about this energy balance that is so important that we strike going forward.
Yeah, that's fantastic. I really do love hearing about folks who've been with companies so long. Because it seems like people move around a lot more now, but it's always refreshing to hear, folks that have been with a great company, a great organization so long. So there's a reason for that. So, listen, let's get right into it. Tell us a bit about WSPA, including the members you represent and the mission of your association.
Okay, well, thank you, Peter. And we're actually the oldest petroleum trade association in the United States. And we really represent all the oil and gas industry, and that really is from exploration, getting oil out of the ground, producing it, refining it, transporting it, and marketing it to consumers and communities in which we all live. So that is our primary objective, and we do that to really provide, in this conversation, reliable and affordable petroleum and petroleum products, because as you know, petroleum goes into lots of things, including cell phones and computers and why we're watching each other on Zoom, but really through policies that are balanced socially, environmentally, and economically. So we look at all of those when we look at how these policies come about. We do have 14 big members in our association across those Western states, and we represent about 250,000 men and women in the West Coast. In Nevada, we've got about 14,000 workers and independent contractors who work in the industry, and that's about 300 jobs in sort of the production side, about 1,900 in the pipeline-related side, and then 12,000 in what we call downstream, which is refining, manufacturing, distribution, and retail sales. And then I think also it's important because if you look at the multiplier impact on supplying industries that directly or indirectly rely on us, it's more than 28,000 jobs, or 1 in every 59 private sector jobs in the state. And then we're responsible for about $839 million in taxes that support transportation, schools, health, and social services. So as an association, we support our member companies, we support those jobs, and most importantly, we educate stakeholders and policymakers, I think, on these really critical issues that we all face together. And I think really, as we advocate for a sustainable energy future going forward, it is going to take all of our collective minds, and love that you have asked us to participate with you in that thinking, and interested in hearing Jose's as well, as we tackle the challenges in front of us and make sure we all can still give reliable, affordable energy to the people we represent.
Yeah, that's a lot of responsibility, it sounds like you have. So that's incredible. Jose, it seems now almost daily, really almost daily, we hear about climate change, greenhouse gas emissions. What are some of the things that Southwest Gas is doing to help combat this today and into the future?
Yeah, Peter, thanks for asking. We serve 2 million customers over 3 states, Arizona, Nevada, and California. We have 750,000 customers here in Nevada. And we take a lot of pride in leaving the environment better than we found it. So what we're doing at Southwest Gas is we have a goal to reduce our emissions in buildings and fleet by 20% by 2025. And a part of that is installing CNG in our vehicles because it's far cleaner to burn that. Speaking of CNG, Last year, we provided 32 million therms of CNG, compressed natural gas, to our customers throughout our service territory. And when you look at that from an emissions reductions perspective, that's like taking 14,500 passenger vehicles off the road. So that's making a really big difference. And you look around and you see this all over. RTC's running CNG, Republic Services. So it's a very important way for us to help our customers reduce their overall impact on the environment. Because we do have to keep in mind, when you look at nationwide emissions, transportation's the big emitter. So CNG really helps to drive that down. What we're also looking at is renewable natural gas. So what that is you take excess methane coming off of wastewater treatment plants or landfills, you capture that, you clean that up, and then you can put that into the pipeline system. So we have the ability in Nevada to do that. We're working with several customers here. In fact, RTC is very interested in running renewable natural gas in their vehicles to even further drive down their emissions factor, as well as other customers. We're also working with dairy farms in our Arizona service territory to help connect our pipe to their dairy farm to send that RNG throughout systems for our company and others. So those are really three of the main drivers. We're also looking to hydrogen over the long term. There's been a lot of talk in the debates, the political debates, if you can, bear these things any longer. But when they talk about hydrogen, that could be another answer for us going forward in the future for natural gas. We have several thousand miles of pipe. And when you look across the country, there's even more. We're an energy transmission company. So today we're delivering wellhead gas. And then we're going to start doing RNG. And then we're going to start looking at hydrogen. So we plan to be here for the long run because we're providing affordable energy for our customers, and we're going to continue to do that. And people want us. And if you look around, and if you bought a house lately or you live in a house, I'm guessing you have natural gas in it. There isn't one builder in the city of Las Vegas who doesn't install gas. And the reason they're doing that is because customers want it. And candidly, it's a much more efficient way to heat your water in your home. Yeah,
no doubt about it. And I hear already from folks. So that's why I thought it was important that the Latin Chamber get involved in this so that we can, be part of the conversation, because we represent a lot of these folks that definitely want balanced choice energy. So, Kath, what can you tell us about the oil and natural gas industry that you think might surprise folks?
Oh, right. Absolutely. And first, if I could just comment and thank Jose.
Please.
For talking about the importance of natural gas. This is why I love the state of Nevada. The state of California does not like natural gas. And I'm sure Jose can talk about that. They fight everything that is not going towards an electricity transportation system. And I have no problem with electricity as a very good piece of our diverse energy portfolio. I have no problem with looking at electric vehicles. However, when we pick a single source at the expense of affordability and feasibility and accessibility, I have problems with that. And so I'm just thrilled that Jose is talking about natural gas, renewable natural gas, hydrogen. These are all wonderful pieces of the energy mix. I just need Jose to come to California and tell them that.
We're trying. We do have some service territory in Victorville, and it's tough.
It's a challenge.
Yeah, and the goal is, and Kathy, you said it, let's not pick winners and losers. Let's have this balanced energy approach and keep our customers in mind and hold their electricity and natural gas affordable.
Yeah. But I mean, to your question, Peter, sorry I didn't get off track.
No, you're doing great.
I just had to thank Jose.
I love it.
But I think one thing that would probably, people think of the oil and gas industry and they probably think of the gas station and the pumping process, right? Which certainly is cornerstone to our industry. But I also think they don't realize that we employ some of the smartest and most talented thinkers on this planet. As obviously my friends at the Southwest Gas do as well, but we really employ tens of thousands of engineers, of climate scientists, of data and trends analysis, of communicators, right? Beyond anything that I think people are used to that really work every day on efficiency, safety, sustainability, right? I think that's sometimes we're seen as being very traditional, and frankly, I'm excited because we're very rooted in constant innovation and addressing, I think, society's biggest challenges. And so as we work to create this energy mix that we're talking about, that is meeting continually this increased energy demand in a way that keeps communities moving, keeps factories producing, keeps the lights on in homes and businesses everywhere. Without that diverse energy mix, without that innovation, frankly, in my opinion, we won't have a sustainable energy future. And I always say this when I talk is all of us hopefully all wake up every day, and we turn on our lights, heat and cool our homes, and expect to drive A to B affordably. And that's what I think we do at WISPA, Western States Petroleum Association, and want to continue to do in supporting the state of Nevada and all of our consumers and customers and communities there.
Excellent. Jose, you talked about RNG and RNG being part of the solution to greenhouse gas emission reduction. What is Southwest Gas doing in that renewable space?
Yeah, we're actually doing a lot. And I mentioned some of it earlier, so thanks for giving me a little more opportunity to go into that. Like I mentioned, we're partnering with dairy farmers, we're partnering with cities, with counties on taking wastewater and dairy farms and landfills and looking for a place to clean that RNG up and then looking for customers to send it to. In fact, the state of Nevada in the last legislative session passed a statute that allows us to do that, allows us to invest in RNG because the state knows it's important. And I have to give a lot of credit to them because they didn't pick a winner and loser. They weren't talking about electrification at the time. They were talking about, hey, let's do the best thing for overall emissions reductions. So really proud of those efforts that the legislature and the governor signed again last session. So we're getting very aggressive there. And as I said, RTC is a big partner in this, Republic Services, and as well as Arizona. And if you look countrywide, this is going to have to continue to play a large role in reducing emissions. And I think as a company, we have to do a better job also speaking to that, because Brunswick, a polling firm, about a month ago released some polling data. The majority of Republicans and Democrats, now you wouldn't know this by watching news or listening to these politicians, but the majority from both parties think that natural gas should play a role in reducing emissions. And one of that role is to use RNG, as I said, to bridge to hydrogen. And I think Kathy said it perfectly. Some people just think of us as this, stodgy utility company. We live in these communities we serve. Our folks send their kids to school here. We've been brought up here. Why would we want to harm the environment? We truly want to leave it better than we found it. And that's why at Southwest Gas, we're looking at renewable natural gas. We're partnering with the RTCs of the world. We're partnering with dairy farmers across our service territory so we can reduce our overall emissions.
Yeah, that's very well said. And I agree with you. I mean, Southwest Gas is in our community. The employees live in our community. They are part of our community, and that's why we must all be part of the conversation. So I appreciate that very much. Kat, what do you predict the future energy mix will look like, and how does that pertain to something very important to the Latin Chamber of Commerce, and that is jobs?
Yeah, thank you very much. And, although nobody has a perfect crystal ball, of course, but with 30 years or 38 years experience, I have a little bit, let's say. I do think that everything will be an integral part of the energy mix for the foreseeable future. Certainly, traditional oil and natural gas will. Natural gas, as Jose said, it has been the single most important thing we've done to reduce our climate change emissions. There is, bar none, anything that has achieved the reductions like natural gas has. But we also have to work at any kind of diverse energy mix, but it has to be at scale, right? It has to grow these additional energy options. You just can't, click your finger and hope they appear. And so this balance of transitioning the mix is so important because you've got to look at affordability. You've got to look at the impact of jobs. You've got to look at consumer behavior and what role that plays. And as Jose said, our license to operate is held by the communities in which we live.
That's right.
It is not held by the politicians or the governor or the legislators. It is held by the communities. And so we both, I know, play an active role with the communities in trying to figure this out. We also have many exciting career opportunities to offer. I've got a lot of young people who are wanting to come to work for us because they are excited about the future of energy and they want to be part of that solution, and we do too. And so as we look forward into the future, as we look at those opportunities, certainly in the renewable natural gas space, the renewable diesel space, biofuels, I've got companies who invest in wind and solar and everything else as well. But the important thing is, how do you have to peel the onion and ask yourself, how do those things happen? A plus B has to equal C. I do decent math, Peter. And it has to be a balance of the economy, the environment, social quality, and the right energy mix. And I believe that if you have any policy that's judged against those four things, it will be a good policy and it will be sustainable. And it won't be if you don't look at all those four things.
Excellent, excellent. Jose, some cities across the country have passed or even considered bans on natural gas. What concerns do you have to that approach?
Numerous concerns. And Kathy did a very good job, I think, segueing into this item. Secretary Moniz, who was Secretary of Energy.
Jose, so did the moderator, by the way.
Yeah, of course. Who was Secretary of Energy for President Obama. He raved about natural gas because it's the single most fuel that drove down emissions nationwide. You were taking coal plants off and you were putting natural gas plants on. In the state of Nevada, nearly 70% of the electricity generated comes from natural gas. So we're cleaning up the environment nationwide. So that's extremely important for what we're doing here. And it just doesn't make a lot of sense from a cost perspective as well. When you start to look at banning natural gas and picking winners and losers. I mean, my family has been in the Mexican food restaurant business since the mid-30s. And if you start forcing them to replace those appliances, it's going to be extremely difficult. And it's really not fair. The other thing to consider is when you look at nationwide emissions, 4% of emissions comes from residential natural gas sales. 4%. We serve nearly half of the homes in the US, natural gas, and 4%. So we're picking on that when we should be looking at transportation. Kathy mentioned it. Peter, I know you guys are big proponents of the electrification of the transportation sector as well. You've never heard us say anything against it. I think, again, it's this balanced approach. That's right. It's using CNG in some cases, it's using electricity in others. We're never going to be the folks who give the fuel to run an air conditioning unit, but we'll give the fuel to efficiently heat a home in a furnace or efficiently heat water in a hot water heater. We can all play a role, but we have to take a step back, and as I thought Kathy articulated quite well, let's be thoughtful about this approach. But what you have now is you have these polar opposites screaming and yelling at each other, and everybody's forgetting about the middle. And the middle is our customer. And that's what bothers me the most. It's really nonsensical in many respects.
And I agree with you, Jose. I truly do. I mean, I think that, when you start talking banning and doing that arbitrarily without even considering other things, that's just wrong in my opinion. So I want to stay with you real quick, Jose. What impact do policies that move away from natural gas have on customers, particularly low-income residents, which, obviously I'm very sensitive to?
So am I. I mean, and I just said it, it's the affordability, it's the pocketbook issue. And that's what confuses me about this conversation. Because if you look at electrifying homes, so the American Gas Association did a study a few years back, and they said if you started to electrify in 2023, what would that cost? Because what you have to keep in mind is the electric grid is currently set up to serve the load as is, with natural gas as part of the equation. You change that up, you start pushing upwards of $1 trillion nationwide. Who's going to pay for that? Ratepayers are going to have to pay for that. So that's one. Look at your natural gas bill. It's one of your lowest bills, if not the lowest bill. That would change as well. So that's why AARP, that's why Peter, you in the Latin Chamber, that's why several other organizations who I think actually are looking at this in a very thoughtful manner, and who serve constituents that may not have the ability or the means to have a life like some other people. That's who we have to be keeping in mind. And I don't believe they are. In fact, they're largely ignored. The other issue you get to is reliability.
Yeah.
I mean, you saw recently what happened in California in these threats of blackouts. Having different energy sources is always a good thing. Having a backup is always a good thing.
And affordability. I mean, I can tell you, I can assure you that the Latin Chamber is going to be involved in this because of the affordable issue. So California, you brought up California. Kath, let's talk about it. California has been making headlines, across the U.S. around the governor's executive orders. You have a good perspective on California. Can you share that with us and what other states can take away from what California is doing, especially since they're our neighbors?
Yes, thank you. And I hope what they take away is that they don't follow. But California, of course, I mean, I have no problem with big, bold ideas as long as they're affordable and they're practical and they're feasible and they have social equity as a cornerstone. What I am concerned with about the governor's executive order, which bans the sale of internal combustion engines, gasoline and diesel powered cars and trucks after 2035. Right now, we have 760,000 electric vehicles in California. We have 36 million cars and trucks on gasoline and diesel. This is a huge gap, right? And I am very concerned about the affordability of this. I certainly can agree on a push for sustainable solutions, but I really struggle with supporting a policy that does not take into account, frankly, all the facts. It doesn't really sit down and collaborate with all the partners to figure it out. It hasn't assessed the economic impact of these decisions. And forcing Californians, no matter their income or where they live, into an expensive electricity transportation system, whose subsidies are just a wealth transfer in the wrong direction, is really not the answer. And I really hope we understand how these kind of rushed energy policies can destabilize the economy exactly the same time we're trying to come back from this, obviously, economic devastation with COVID. So I don't think, I think rushed policies like this, what happens is that small and large businesses and certainly jobs get hurt, right?
They pay the most.
They just pay the most, and disadvantaged communities as well. And so we just reject the notion that the environment and public health have to be enemies with economic prosperity and our industry. And so we take this challenge on, but I got to tell you, I'm just concerned about the aggressiveness of this. As far as I'm concerned, a ban on any kind of energy source is a bad idea. It stifles innovation. It leaves emission reductions on the table that could be got in the interim. It doesn't take into account the impact of jobs in the economy. I have seen no plan, Peter, yet. I have seen an aspirational goal, but I tell you what,
That's not a plan.
Yeah, it's not a plan. That's not a plan. And we got a lot of conversations to have before I'm going to be comfortable with the path that we're on. I get we all have to make tough choices, that climate change is absolutely critical, but we've got to do this in a way that, again, does not sacrifice jobs in the economy along the way.
I tell you, you said something that really stuck in my brain. Wealth transfer in the wrong direction. That's a powerful statement.
Yeah.
It really is. Kath, what's one final thing you'd like to share with this group, with these folks that are listening and really worried about costs and some are on fixed incomes and, you know, all of that. You know the drill. What's one final thing you want to share with this group?
I think it's don't give up hope. There's a lot of people whose attention are on making sure we have a sustainable energy future that works. One that is based on facts and science and data and not fears and emotion, because I tell you, fears and emotions don't drive a plan. A plan has to be pragmatic. It has to be based on the facts. It has to have a planned out future. I think all that's doable. I think it's doable working with the chamber, working with Southwest Gas, working with all of our partners and communities in Nevada to make sure you guys, you know, that we all, when we sit down and think about this, we do it right. And there are lot of lessons learned from California that I would share with you on how to really take a better approach to planning the sustainable energy future for Nevada.
That's excellent. And I can't wait to do this again in person. So we will. We're going to be on top of this because this is an important subject. And like you said, I mean, you know, everybody should be at the table. All the experts should be at the table. We all want the same things. It's just, you know, let's get there in a sensible way that takes in consideration everyone.
Yeah.
I agree. Jose, if nothing else, what should people take away from our conversation today?
Peter, I just want to say again, thank you very much for the opportunity. Kathy, it was wonderful meeting you, and we may have to take this show on the road and open some eyes. But I like to kind of end where I started, and that is we are this community. We're a large part of the fabric of this community, and we're going to continue to stay here. We're going to continue to serve our 750,000 customers. We're going to continue to give them reliable service at an affordable price. And we're going to continue to do our best to reduce emissions. Like I said, we're doing it through delivery of CNG. We're looking internally at how we can reduce our own emissions through our fleet and facilities. And we're going to do it through renewable natural gas and start looking at hydrogen in the long term. It's going to take all of us to get together and be thoughtful about it, but I'm confident we can. And as I said, Southwest Gas has thousands of miles of pipeline. We're an energy transmission company. So today it's wellhead gas, maybe tomorrow it's hydrogen, but we're not going anywhere, and we want to make Las Vegas better than we found it.
I want folks to clearly understand this as well. Southwest Gas employs a lot of people. They pay good wage, good benefits. They live in our community. That means they're spending those dollars in our community. So I just hope that you keep that in mind, and let's make sure, like I said, that everybody's at the table. Jose, Kath, this has been a real special one for me. I thought both of you just articulated this message so well. I think you opened up some eyes, opened up some minds, and I think we're going to continue these conversations and just know that the Latin Chamber of Commerce is your partner. You're our partner. Let's do this together.
Thank you, Peter. Thanks, Jose.
Thank you.
It's a great session. Thank you guys so much.
The Latin Chamber of Commerce recognizes the impact that economic empowerment has on the social and political fabric of our community, and this includes the most vulnerable members of society, our children. Cox is providing youth with a greater chance for success in today's digital world through its low-cost Connect to Compete program. Low-income families with school-age children may qualify for low-cost, high-speed internet at home. To learn more, please visit cox.com/connect to compete.